Many of you have been requesting this video for many months now, ever since I pimped the Game Boys. All of you wanted the Nintendo DS. Now, I tried searching for a very long time on what kind of accessories I could get for the DS, and none were crazy enough for me to actually make a video on. That's why it's been so delayed. For example, the Game Boy had like that Titan thing you could put it in. It's got the worm lights, etc. Tons of crazy stuff that I could have made videos on, but the DS had limited stuff back in the day, accessories-wise. But I found something that is quite interesting, and I want to share with you kind of what it looks like. So I found this on Amazon. It's basically a Nintendo DS. I'll open it up. Nintendo DS that, oh boy, has basically been modified so much that they've taken the top screen off and created it into what some even call the Gameboy Macro. And some of these look absolutely incredible. So I actually managed to pick this up for £50 on eBay. You're looking at about 60 bucks in the US. And I'll admit, the quality of this, as you can see, like this is what they sent me. It's a little bit beaten up, but I know if you want to spend more, like towards the £100 range, you'll get a brand new DS. Now that's exactly what I thought I was buying. The guy kind of misled me on eBay a little bit. He said it was excellent condition where it's actually not. So if I take like the old DS here, so this is like the OG DS, and then you've got the DSi here, and this one is basically a modified DS Lite. And as you can probably tell, it's gone through a lot of work. And like, I was a big fan of the DS back in the day. This was actually my DS that I had as a kid. This is one I picked up. I actually thought this one was fake on AliExpress. I think I found it for like 30 quid. I was like, this has to be fake. But turns out it was legit. So the main selling point of this Game Boy Macro here is that it basically looks like a Game Boy. It can play your Game Boy Advance games and it can play DS games, but it can't. So if I turn this on, basically you won't be able to see this, but there should be like B-roll. But they've actually added in an LED light here with this like transparent bubbled bar here, which actually glows up. So they've actually called this the Vader edition, which I think is kind of cool. Obviously the black and red, Darth Vader from Star Wars. I dig it, it's nice. And all you got to really do is basically just chuck in a Game Boy game. So I've got a Game Boy game here. I'll turn this off quickly. And I'll chuck in a DS game as well, so I can show you kind of like how it looks when it plays. But there's a big problem with DS games. So I've got Super Mario and I've got Star Wars here, Episode 3 for the DS. All goes in well. Turn this on and I'll kind of show you. So I'll tell you the problem with the DS games. Basically, you've got one screen. So you've got to hope that the DS game that you pick up only kind of uses the main gameplay as the bottom screen, which is very limited. I don't think many of them actually do that. There's probably a few out there that do that, so you can actually play with the bottom screen. But, you know, that's most likely not going to happen. So I've got the Game Boy Advance game in, and this actually uses the bottom screen as the main Game Boy screen. That's a really dirty ass screen, I apologize. Let me clean that a second. Let me clean that for you. So depending on your budget, like I said, you can either go for like a £50 one, which will have scuffs. It's very secondhand, like this one here. Definitely playable though, absolutely. Or you can go for like the £100 or $100 price range, and you can pick yourself up a pretty good condition one. So I'll just focus in on this on the main camera here, so you can see. So you got a closer look. This is what it looks like. You can tell it's got some scuffs, especially on the back. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it's not very nice. And basically, you can't add in the pen, because what they've done is they've actually put in a speaker down here, so you can't actually add your pen into your DS. But the touchscreen isn't touchscreen, that's gone as well, so you're kind of limited to a lot of DS games, but you can select it as normal with the arrow buttons. But one thing I've noticed as well, and I actually unboxed it not so long ago, if you're interested in like this kind of layout, there's this called the Digi Retro Boy here, and that's basically a fake version of like this, I guess, that can't play Nintendo DS games, but it does come with a Game Boy Advance cartridge. And the best thing about this, if you've seen the video, is that in this cartridge you can add your SD card slot, and you can basically add in whatever Game Boy Advance game you want, and it's backlit, etc. If this probably hasn't got battery, has it? Okay, yeah, it's got battery. So, but this is £90, where this is 50. But you're obviously getting the OG feel. It's actually a Nintendo official product. You can play cartridges. You know, it's just really nice to kind of go back to the old school and play on a bottom half DS. Whereas this obviously doesn't exactly feel like a DS, but you can play tons of games from an SD card. So if you want to go up on budget as well, that's near the £90 range. So I'll show you a bit of gameplay here. Hopefully there's no shine on the screen. I've also noticed that these come in a ton of different color combinations as well. And if you want to do it yourself, there's definitely videos out there that allow you to basically take an old DS Lite, and they basically have how-tos on how to do it yourself. But if you guys really want to see that, I'm more than happy to make a video on that. I'm not the best at that kind of stuff. As you may know, back in the day, I super glued a Game Boy screen down. I know, not smart. So this is all new to me, but if need be, I can actually try and do it myself and teach you guys how to do it. Because if you've got a DS Lite basically like lying around and you don't really play it, but you want to turn it into like a more portable, kind of cooler, pimped out system, then this is definitely the way to go. And obviously the LED bar is kind of new, but you can add all that yourself, which is quite nice. But I dig it. Like, these are getting more and more popular because, like I said, I think people have DS Lites lying around and people can convert them into really cool old nostalgia products here. And I like it. It's a different way to play the Game Boy games. You know, we've gone from the Game Boy Color, Advance, SP, but the whole new Game Boy Macro look and feel to it is definitely something new, and it's portable, it's light, the battery lasts a little bit longer than original Lite, and if you're lucky, you can play DS games on here if it uses the bottom screen, but I'm sure not a lot of them do. Like, they obviously use the bottom screens, but for main, like, actual gameplay, I don't think that that will work. So you're probably thinking, Brandon, why would I buy this? It's half of a DS. It still costs like 50 to £100. Like, why would I pick one up? Why not just buy like this if I want to play all my Game Boy Advance games? Or why not just pick up a modded Game Boy Advance for probably the same price or a little bit more expensive? Now, that's a good question, I'd say. Personally, like, this is something for Game Boy collectors who are like really into playing Game Boy Advance games on different systems, and it's official Nintendo merch. You know, you're not buying a cheap fake knockoff. You're actually playing on a Nintendo DS Lite here, which actually looks really cool. And you can get a ton of different color combos. If you want to go green, you've got a light setup that you can change. You can change the buttons. You can basically just take this apart and do what you want with it. It's just a new way to play Game Boy Advance games in a larger, kind of more comfortable way than I'd say than a Game Boy Advance or a Game Boy Color. So it's really up to you. The headphone jack does work still, so you can still play with headphones. But again, some of the drawbacks is that you can't play DS Lite games, and if you get a brand new one, you're looking at about $100. But that will be pristine condition, where this was like half the price. It's a bit scratched up, but you get the gif. So I thought I'd share that with you. This is probably the most like pimped DS I could find. Obviously there's no accessories for it, but I'm just loving what people are doing. You can find these on eBay, Etsy, maybe on Amazon, I don't know, I haven't looked. But this is like the trend lately to do with like your old school lights that you aren't using, or if a light has a broken top screen, you can just take it apart and make one of these and sell it on if you want, or add it to your collection. So they call these the Gameboy Macro. That's what they're calling them these days. I think you can do different DS versions as well. Maybe not the DSi over here because that's got all the camera technology in, but I've certainly seen people do it with the old school Nintendo DS here as well, where they take off the top, and you've got, in my opinion, a lot thicker and more comfortable way of playing Game Boy Advance games. So I might actually look into getting Game Boy Macro of the original DS, because this is just a lot more comfortable in my opinion. This one here is a little slimmer, but admittedly it probably lasts longer battery wise, and it's just a lot more compact if you want to travel with it. So there you have it, the Pimp DS here, which I found on eBay for 50 quid. There will be links below if you're interested. I probably wouldn't say go to the seller I bought, because he did say this was excellent condition, where that's a complete lie. It's very, very used. So as per usual, thanks for watching, and let me know what you guys want me to pimp next, or find something cool. Drop it in the comments below, and as per usual, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.